If you feel like a failure, it's not because you didn't try hard enough. It's because you're measuring yourself inside a system designed to extract from you, not reward you. Failure is what imbalance calls you when you stop over-functioning. And the moment you understand that, you stop asking what's wrong with you and start asking who benefits from you believing there is. This feeling doesn't come from lack of effort. It comes from misplaced responsibility. It forms in environments where you learn to carry more than your role. You absorb where others avoid. You're praised for reliability, not authority. You're taught quietly that things fall apart without you. So when outcomes don't improve, you assume the failure must be internal. Not because it is, but because you were trained to be the stabilizer. Failure doesn't show up everywhere. You don't feel like a failure when you're working on your own terms. You feel it in specific places, with specific people, inside specific systems, where your effort is expected, your sacrifice is normalized, your authority is limited. When power is shared, effort leads somewhere. When leverage is uneven, effort disappears into maintenance. And when maintenance stops, the system doesn't say thank you. It says you're not doing enough. Feeling like a failure isn't evidence of incompetence. It's feedback from a system that relied on your over-functioning. Think of it like commission-based work with no commission. You show up early, you stay late, you solve problems no one assigned you. But your name is never on the contract. So when you slow down, when you stop compensating, nothing gets credited to you. The system keeps running. You get blamed. That's not failure. That's unpaid labor finally being noticed because it's missing. Imbalanced systems don't reward contribution. They reward compliance. As long as you're absorbing pressure, fixing gaps, making things work, you're labeled valuable. But the moment you pull back, that story changes. Suddenly you're falling behind, losing motivation, not as capable as they thought. Not because you declined, but because your labor was holding something together that never gave you authority. Failure becomes the narrative because accountability would expose the structure. Imagine carrying a table with 3 other people. At first the weight is shared, then one person loses their grip, another person steps back, and then the other person never really lifts at all. You don't notice immediately because you compensate. You adjust, you strain, you carry more, until one day your arms give out and the table drops. Everyone looks at you, not the imbalance, not the missing hands, you. That's how systems define failure. The person compensating is always blamed when compensation stops. This is where it becomes personal, not because it is, but because you internalize it. You don't say, this system is uneven. You say, something must be wrong with me. You don't question the structure, you question your worth. That's how power imbalance turns into identity damage. Failure isn't what happened. Failure is what you were taught to call yourself for noticing. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You weren't failing, you were maintaining. You stayed late. You over-explained. You fixed what wasn't yours. You thought you were proving capability, but what you were really doing was preventing the imbalance from being visible. The moment you stop smoothing it over, the system feels unstable. And instead of examining itself, it assigns the feeling to you. Failure here isn't personal, it's strategic. Let me ask you this. Have you ever watched things unravel the moment you stop carrying more than your share? Drop a black heart emoji in the comments down below if you ever felt that shift. That wasn't failure, that was leverage being exposed. Here's what happens next and why people stay stuck. When you stop compensating, someone gets uncomfortable. Someone calls you unreliable. Someone says you've changed. Not because you declined, but because the system lost your labor. The backlash isn't evidence you're wrong, it's evidence the imbalance was real. Here's the truth most people never hear. Feeling like a failure is often the first sign you stop overfunctioning. Not because you lost power, but because you stopped giving it away. When authority returns, failure has nowhere to attach. Now you decide. You can keep internalizing outcomes created by imbalance, or you can recognize the moment you stop compensating was the moment leverage shifted. One keeps you exhausted, the other restores authority. This channel isn't about fixing yourself. It's about recognizing where power was never shared and choosing to stop participating. Subscribe if you're ready to exit systems that confuse extraction with worth.